welcome back to the 98th episode of the Triboro Podcast. I'm your host, Justin Alonso. As always, ignore the messy background. I literally just set my computer up at about 11:30 last night. Joined by Nicholas O'Brien. How are we doing, Nicholas O'Brien?
I'm doing great. It was a great night for orange and blue teams last night on Monday, so I'm feeling good for a lot of reasons. And I'm not even a basketball fan, but very good.
I didn't even think about the Knicks. I was thinking about the Islanders, but yeah.
The Islanders getting the number one overall pick is just insanity.
Yeah.
3.5% chance to get the number one.
Do you know
pick
what else is insanity?
What
Having a 2-goal lead with 10 minutes left in Game 7. And letting up 3 goals in a span of 3 minutes. I'm looking at you, Colorado.
It's a damn shame.
You wonder why you haven't won a Game 7 since I was born.
Yeah. But hockey playoffs are something else. Did you see the Blues and Jets?
Yes.
Tying the game with a second left.
Dude, we were watching that, and we had like 10 people in my room. We were all just like talking, whatever, and we were getting to like a serious discussion. We all just went, "What the fuck?" when that happened. Yeah. That was crazy. And they scored what, like
crazy
2 goals in like less than a minute.
It was definitely. I don't know if it was less than a minute, but it was like 2 goals in like the last couple of minutes.
Both were empty netters. Both were when they had an empty net. So.
Oh yeah.
It was under 2 minutes. Anyways, this is not a hockey podcast, but NHL playoffs are going crazy, and this isn't even from. You're more into hockey. This is from someone that's not even that into hockey. They're insane, but I'm a Capitals fan now. Alexander Ovechkin is the GOAT, but no, he's not.
I want the Oilers to go. Get McDavid a ring.
Canada?
Whatever. Out of sight, out of mind, right?
But.
Anyways, baseball.
Baseball, yeah. I don't want to talk about baseball.
Neither do I, honestly. Do we have to?
It's going to be one of those episodes.
It's definitely going to be one of those episodes.
Oh, boy. Well, if you're a fan of the teams that we played, get your popcorn out because you're going to be laughing.
Yeah, basically. More so for the Yankees.
Yeah.
I'm like slightly annoyed. I don't think I'm as mad as you might be.
I am very annoyed. Annoyed is underselling.
Yeah. But with that being said, let's move on over to Queens to get this started.
Now entering Queens.
Hello everybody, welcome back to Queens. The Mets have finished up their first rough stretch of the season, or rough week of the season, going, I don't even know how many games they played. They play a lot of games. They're like 3 and 4, something like that. Not great. And on top of that, you got some serious injury news. You got blown games. You got hard-hit luck. You got home run robberies. Everything that could go wrong went wrong this past week for the Mets. But before we get into the games, let's talk about your Triboro MD injury report. Not a good one. This is probably one of the worst ones we are going to do in a while. Jesse Winker is going to be out 6 to 8 weeks with an oblique strain after playing the field for the first time this season and making a throw. Jesse Winker strains his oblique. Now, I'm not saying they don't practice this, because I'm sure they practice, like they get reps in the outfield and everything. But I find it very funny that the first attempt Jesse Winker has in the field to make a throw, he strains his oblique.
Did he, eat it?
Like, it looked like a normal, everyday throw from the outfield. Like, he was trying to cut down the runner at home, so maybe he put, a little extra oomph into it. Which, again, when you're practicing,
you're not doing
subconsciously, you're not, launching it.
Especially the adrenaline, too.
Right.
You can't account for the adrenaline. Even if you're, only going 90% in practice, you think the adrenaline gives you, an additional 5%. So if you're going 100%, then that 5% from the adrenaline, that's, a pretty sizable increase. For a guy that doesn't throw at all.
Yeah, so that was kind of, my thinking of it. But either way, it sucks. Jesse Winker is going to be out for basically 2 months. Probably not not going to see him till July, trade deadline.
What do they say the timeline is?
6 to 8 weeks. It's a grade 2 oblique strain.
I may even argue it be more, just because oblique. But because I'll get into that with Jazz too. Like, I don't believe the timeline they gave, but
yeah, obliques are so tricky. I mean, I feel like we say that every time someone has an oblique injury. They are, because it's just.
I said in
like
the group,
you said all the time.
I said in the group chat, like, I think that obliques are the worst non-tear or break for an injury that you could get.
Yeah, they could just linger.
Yeah.
You think you're 99%, and then you move the wrong way, and you're back to square one. Yeah. So sucks for Jesse Winker. He kind of just started hitting in the past couple games, but this gives Brett Baty his 15th millionth attempt to stick in the majors. Brett Baty was recalled. I'm a little surprised by it, not gonna lie. I thought they would have gone someone like Jared Young, who kind of fits more of that DH-y kind of role, while he can kind of stand anywhere on the field. But they went with Brett Baty. They want to give him another chance.
He's a fungus.
I hope they do. Yeah, really, honestly, he is. I hope they give Baty a chance. I hope this isn't like, we're calling him up just to fill the roster spot. Like, I hope they aim to play him, because we talked about it when he got sent down. He just started to kind of hit a little bit. He's definitely a defensive upgrade at third base compared to Vientos. So that's also something else. And with that being said, I would like to see Vientos get some more DH time with Jesse Winker out, because I really do not like what I'm seeing from Starling Marte. He's just not. I don't think Unk has it. I really don't, unfortunately, because we talked about it. I don't want to say I was high on him. Like, I wasn't writing him off in the offseason.
You saw a route for him to be a useful major league player.
Yeah, and so far, he's not. He's not qualified in anything yet, but just looking at his Savant page, it's, average to below average in everything. Expected weighted on base, expected batting average, expected slug, average exit velocity, barrels.
That's not going to cut it for a designated
DH.
pitcher.
Right, and then his legs are also shot. Like last night against the Diamondbacks, 2 years ago, he probably beats out this double play, but he was out by like a step. And his sprint speed is
now... We had double groin surgery, right?
Lowest. Yeah, that was...
Last year?
I think that was heading into 2023.
Oh, I thought it was heading 24.
It might have been 24. You might be right.
But regardless, I feel like every day it's a new lower body injury with him. So I feel like his lower body just... It broke.
It's breaking down. He's 36. I mean, this guy's been around for a while, and
especially for those speed guys too, where like their game is built on speed, because that's what it was for the most of his like first half of his career. If one thing is wrong, your value tanks. Because if you're not 100%, like there's certain guys like, say, I am not wishing an injury on him, but say Pete Alonso isn't 100%, he could still be very, very valuable, because of the type his speed isn't a part of his game. But if a speed guy is, no, like they literally just cannot do anything.
Yeah. So his sprint speed, just to put it in perspective, is now at the lowest of his career at 25.9 feet per second. His prime, he was usually like around 28, 29. So definitely lost a few steps, and it sucks to see. This is literally just age, and there's nothing you can really do about it. But with that being said, I don't want to see a lot of Starling Marte. Like, he should only be playing against left-handed pitching, because of course he was in last night batting cleanup against a righty, because that makes sense. But again, with that being said, back to my original point, I'd like to see Vientos get some more DH time. I love the guy, I love the player, but he's just obviously going to be a defensive liability. That's just what it is.
And also, you want that I was just going to say, you want that at bat late in games. So if he's such a liability that you have to replace him in tight games, you're losing out on that bat. But if you DH him, then you're not, because you can't move a guy to DH, but you can just start him at DH.
Exactly. So with Brett Baty and Luis Angel Acuna, who played his first game at third base, and he looked good good for the one play he made. I think just giving more open reps at third base would be the way to go. Obviously, it gives more at-bats to Baty, it gives more at-bats to Acuna. I think that makes the most sense for where this team is at. But again, at the end of the day, the DH is just going to be a revolving door. We saw Soto DH on Sunday, Nimmo DH'd on Sunday. Who else DH'd? I forget, but regardless, it's just going to be another revolving door. It's not really going to be a split between Winker and Marte. But that being said, I hope Baty gets ample opportunity because I said it before, but I will say it again. This is his last shot. I thought last time was his last shot. This is his last shot.
Until someone else goes down and he is back.
Yeah, exactly. Because he has taken over the injury black magic that Tyler McGill always had in spring training. That always got him a spot. So I was not wishing injury. That's just how it has gone. That's enough about the DH. Brett Baty, we got some more unfortunate injuries. AJ Minter will be out for the season. He tore his lat in Washington. I got nothing. It's just unfortunate. Torn lats fucking sucks.
I've never heard of that.
Yeah, when it happened, I thought it was his hip acting up again. He had the hip issues last year, got hip surgery, but no, tore his lat, which just sucks because he was really good. Obviously, he's a lefty, and the Mets needed lefties. And on top of that,
because all the other ones are dead.
Yeah, Danny Young, the only other lefty, needs Tommy John, so he will be out for the season as well. So in the matter of a week, the Mets have lost both of their lefties, and this bullpen has become very thin very quickly.
May I interest you in a Tyler Mazdek?
No. I'm okay. Thankfully they signed Brooks Raley, but he's not going to be back until July. So you still need to make it up.
And how is he going to come back?
Right, how's he going to come back from Tommy John? And this is Cabrera kind of has taken over that lefty spot. He pitched 2 innings, I believe, on game 1 on Sunday. So he looks maybe okay. You can kind of use him, but yeah, this just sucks. Now the Mets don't have any lefties. AJ Minter was like the big free agent reliever they signed, and now you're kind of just gonna use what you have in AAA instead of kind of having solidified guys. But
do you think they make a move?
Not yet. I think it's too early. The only thing I will say is David Robertson is somehow still a free agent. I don't know why. I don't know how, but he is.
Who was the reliever that got signed the other day that was like, how are you still available?
Was it Chafin?
Yeah.
Yeah, he signed, I think it was a minor league deal with the Tigers, I want to say. And then he signed a major league deal with the Nationals. And I do not understand why the Mets hate Andrew Chafin. He's available like all the time, and they just never pick him up.
I mean, David Robertson I kind of get because of how old he is. And it's kind of just like, we may think like his elbow is like literally on its last legs. Like, yeah. Okay.
I mean, look, if that's the case, sure. But I mean,
I just don't see it with Chafin. But
yeah, David Robertson, he is 40 years old.
Yeah.
But I know Justin. I know you know this, but he had a 12.38 strikeouts per 9. He had a 3 ERA last year for 2.65 FIP, a 2.88 expected FIP in over 70 innings.
You can make an argument that his stuff was the nastiest it's ever been last year.
Yeah. He had, I wish I could sort this, but I'm just going to quickly look. Not the highest, but one of the highest strikeout percentages of his career at 33.4%.
In a lot of innings.
A lot of innings. So, look, if he's just, maybe he doesn't want to pitch. Maybe he's just.
I feel like we would have heard if he retired, though.
Yeah. So I don't know what it is, but if the Mets want to make a move, go out and get David Robertson. He's always been good against lefties in his career, so and he can kind of act as like that pseudo lefty.
Does have reverse splits. All stuff
right,
does
so
go in. Yeah.
That makes all the sense in the world if they want to make a move. But as of right now, I think they're kind of just gonna go and see where things go. So
how is he still in this?
Yeah, very frustrating week injury wise. It's very unfortunate because of course Danny Young decided to be pretty good the last couple of appearances before he got Tommy John. So thanks for that. I will say for Danny Young, I don't know if this stayed, but in spring training, his velocity was up a tick, and I want to see really quickly if that went into the regular season at all.
I was gonna say I feel like that happens all the time though. Guys will have like 3-4 incredible appearances, then boom, they die.
Yeah,
and part of that could just be because of overworking, and like overstressing the elbow.
Yeah, he was up like a mile an hour across the board, if not more. So
who was it? Kyle Gibson that said that the way they were taught is every extra mile an hour is 0.3 taken off your ERA.
Yeah, something like that.
So that's why you see so many guys blow out their elbows. But
right. So it sucks, but we move on. And I think the bullpen can still be really good. I just obviously the depth is just going to be tested a little more. But with that being said, moving on to the games, I'll quickly touch on the last Nationals game because that was more than a week ago at this point. Brandon Nimmo, 2-home run game, 3-run homer, grand slam, tied a franchise record for 9 RBIs in a game. That was pretty cool. That was just a kind of let your frustrations out on this terrible Nationals bullpen. So fantastic, good win. Moving on.
You flaming Brandon Nimmo for the you got to pick it up. You got to pick it up.
That day.
Think you listen.
It's funny because I texted you too. Like the entirety of like any Mets social media was just like shitting on Brandon Nimmo, and then
said hold my nuts.
Yeah, basically. But moving on to the frustrating series. This series against Arizona was probably the worst one they've played. I don't want to say like the worst one they played, but like it was such a frustrating series because they were in it in every single game. And I'm not trying to discredit the Diamondbacks because they are a really good team, but I feel like the Mets beat themselves more than the Diamondbacks beat the Mets, and that's what makes it more frustrating. Because there's multiple points in this game where you get a hit or you make a different decision and it could go the complete other way. But that didn't happen in Game 1. Game 1 was just a good, clean win. They scored like 8 runs off of Eduardo Rodriguez. I think David Peterson was pitching. He pitched well enough. Perfect. Game 2. Brandon Waddell was called up to make his Mets debut. He was signed in the offseason from the KBO. He looked fantastic. Kind of like a soft-tossing, kitchen sink lefty type of guy. He looked good, so if the Mets need another spot starter, I feel like Brandon Waddell is definitely going to be one of the top options. Oscar Brosban opened. He pitched 2 scoreless innings. Waddell then took over. And this game was just filled with so many decisions that were just mind-boggling. So, Brandon Waddell, I need to pull up, because I forgot to jot this down. I'm going to pull up the box score real quick. But he was, I don't want to say cruising, but he was pretty comfortable where he was at. Overall, he pitched 4 and a third innings, no runs, 3 hits, 4 strikeouts. The Mets, or Carlos Mendoza really, take him out. Where are they taking him out? There he goes. He starts the 7th inning, strikes out Josh Naylor. Carlos Mendoza comes up, takes him out for Ryan Stanek, who at this point, just everything's going wrong for Ryan Stanek. He blew the 2 games in Washington. Just hasn't had a good appearance in a bit. takes out Brandon Waddell. Ryan Stanek comes in. He gets a ground out. He lets up a single. He lets up a double on a it's just like a looping double, not really hit hard. And then a 2-run single that blows the lead. Nothing was hit over 90 miles an hour, so I'll give him that much. He generated soft contact for the most part, but they just found holes. But my issue is, it's a 1-run game. Ryan Stanek has struggled as of late. It's been one of those things where when things go wrong, everything goes wrong. He's giving up soft contact, they're finding holes, they're getting hits, they're scoring runs. Brandon Waddell, let me collect my thoughts. The Diamondbacks didn't really have a lot of answers for him. He didn't allow a base runner since the 4th inning, when he allowed back-to-back singles. In the 5th inning, 1, 2, 3. 6th inning, 1, 2, 3. 7th inning, struck out the first and final guy he faced. Waddell was going to be optioned the next day no matter what. So why not, at that point, just go batter to batter? Because Naylor's the lefty. I understand they want to keep the lefty-lefty matchup. Coming up was Moreno, Gurriel, and Jorge Barroso, who I believe is a righty. And he's a switch hitter, so would have been a righty anyways. So yes, it would have been 4 straight righties because Gerardo Perdomo pinch hit afterwards. But
I will say I am not having a pitch to Gurriel. Isn't Gurriel known for being a lefty just destroyer?
I think so.
I feel like he's one of the best
this year.
One of the big platoon. I don't want to say platoon guy because that's a little disrespectful. But one of those guys that has pretty drastic splits, right?
Yeah, lefty. I mean this year he's kind of struggling across the board. But I'm sure if you looked at his full career, that's definitely the case. Yeah, I mean last year he had an 885 OPS against lefties, a 697 against righties. Yeah. But again, he's struggling for most of the year. So again, I would have at least gone batter to batter.
That I agree with. You should go batter to batter, but I'd be very hesitant to pitch Gurriel.
And look, Gabriel Moreno does not he's a good ball player, but he does not scare me. If he hits a home run, which would be his first of the season, whatever. Not whatever, but he beat you.
He reminds me of former Diamondback Dalton Varsho. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? We're overall, a great baseball player. Yeah. The bat does not scare me.
Right. And I don't think it really should. He had the one good postseason, and then after that,
he's also a catcher.
So, I don't know. That was very frustrating. Also just because bringing in Stanek when he blew 2 games in Washington, I know it's not all on him because, again, he did generate soft contact. They just found holes. It is what it is. But it's just again, it's one of those things where when everything's going wrong, it's all going wrong. And that's just what's happening for Ryan Stanek right now. So just with that in mind, obviously you can't plan for it. But I don't know. I would have rather see someone else than Stanek. But
fair.
It is what it is. He got out of it. And the Mets are now trailing in that game. The next issue was after that inning, Carlos Mendoza goes to Chris Davinsky for his Mets debut in a 1-run game. He pitches a scoreless 8th inning, so good for him. Excellent. The Mets didn't score a run at the bottom of the 8th, so still a 1-run game. In the top of the 9th, Carlos Mendoza sticks with, was it Chris? I already forget his name. Chris Davinsky for a 2nd inning. At this point in time, Edwin Diaz hasn't pitched in 3-4 days. Reed Garrett hasn't pitched in 3-4 days. It's a 1-run game. The top of your order will be due up in the bottom of the 9th. Why are you letting a guy you called up today go 2 innings in a 1-run game when 2 of your best relievers, Garrett and Diaz, haven't been used in a couple days, And if you want to stay away from Diaz, I can understand that. You're losing, whatever. But Garrett hasn't pitched in a couple days, so at the very least, why wasn't Garrett used? In the most frustrating part, Diamondbacks scored 2 runs off of Chris Davinsky. The bottom of the 9th, Tyrone Taylor hits a home run off Justin Martinez. The Mets are down 4-2. If Davinsky or whoever pitched a scoreless inning, tie game. Obviously, law of predetermined outcomes. Take it for what you will. The Mets then score another run to make it 4-3. Someone pitches a scoreless 9th, you win the game. And I will say, it's not all on the pitching because the Mets had every opportunity to win this game. It was bases loaded with 1 out, and they only scored 1 run off of a Jesse Winker ground out that I think you said you think it hit his foot. Right?
It was one of those ones where either, like, I don't necessarily blame them for saying it didn't. I just could not tell.
Yeah.
Like, I feel...
Which is fair.
How do we not have a better angle of that?
Yeah.
Like, I think again, that's the ridiculous part. How do we not have a better angle of that?
It's also a unreviewable play.
What's the point of having an unreviewable play? Like, I get it. Okay, you don't want to have balls and strikes being reviewable. Whatever. Everything else, though?
Yeah.
When's it the CBA after this year or after next year?
After next year.
They gotta... I don't even know if they can do stuff that way.
Yeah, I don't know how that works. But that's like 3 unreviewable plays the Mets have now like encountered this season alone. And I will say...
Whole point of replay is to get shit right, but let's make stuff non-reviewable.
Right. I will say the umpiring in like these past 3 series, Washington, Arizona, St. Louis, I don't know if maybe I'm just like a bigger hater than I was a year ago, but like these umpires have been disastrous.
It's across baseball.
Like, I don't know if I don't want to get like too far off. Like, have you noticed like a decline a little bit?
Because there's no accountability. They've learned more and more. There's no accountability. So why are they going to care? And to me, it's ridiculous. We're talking about having ways to actively replace you and how they may get implemented next year. So your idea is to get worse at your job? Yeah. Ridiculous to me. It's across baseball. You had that one umpire that had a perfect game, which, awesome. Incredible. Outside of that, it's been horrendous.
Yeah, I mean, it's once in every blue moon. Like, it's rough. It really is, but it is what it is. The Mets lose this game. Just a frustrating bullpen decision game when, again, you could have used Diaz, you could have used Garrett, but you keep the guy that you just called up for 2 innings instead. Just never made sense to me. But you lose that game. Game 3 was just a no-show from the offense. Besides Juan Soto, who hit 2 home runs, they also had a chance to win this game. The runners scoring position issues were pretty prevalent in this entire series. In this game alone, they left 7 men on base. They only had 2 chances of runners in scoring position, but they went 0 for 2 regardless. So, very frustrating series overall. And yeah, I mean, there's not much else to say about Diamondback series. So we'll move on to St. Louis, where Game 1 was very similar to Game 1 against the Diamondbacks. You beat up the Cardinals. You win like 9-4. Clay Holmes pitches 6 innings. Nice, clean win. Brennan Nimmo stayed hot. Francisco Alvarez got 3 hits. Great win. You get rained out Saturday. You play a doubleheader on Sunday. Blade Tidwell gets the call for his Major League debut and doesn't do well. I will say, he did kind of get dink and dunked. There's a lot of soft contact he let up. But at the end of the day, he let up, 12 base runners in less than 4 innings. So it's just long at-bats. His command has always been like his biggest issue in the minors. his velocity is never consistent. There were a couple of 98 fastballs, and then there were also like 92. And that's just how he is. He cannot, for whatever reason, he cannot have consistent velocity. So it was a rough debut, but like at the end of the day, look, his runs are his runs, but he also just got a little screwed by just a little bit of Babbitt luck. Like, I looked at it the day after, just for shits and giggles, on Baseball Savant. Obviously, it's...
That's the game you sent me the text, right?
Probably. But the less than 4 inning sample, but the guy is like, if he was qualified, would be like 95th percentile in average exit velocity. The average exit velocity was 85 miles an hour. So, and he barely got hit hard as well. That would also be an above average percentile as well. But again, it is what it is. The hits are the hits, and the runs are the runs. This is another game where the Mets had every opportunity to win, every opportunity to steal this game, and they just failed to run into score position. And that was just kind of this doubleheader as a whole, where the Mets just hit the ball hard, found the glove. The Cardinals had softer contact, and it found a hole. And that's just baseball. That's why these games were so frustrating, because one hit gets down. Just one hit gets down and changes the game. You know, Juan Soto gets a 3-run homer robbed. The Mets would lead after that. Brandon Nimmo lines out with bases loaded and 2 outs. That hit gets down. They lead after that. So it's a combination of bad approaches with runners in scoring position, getting yourself in bad counts, swinging at bad pitches, and then also, hitting the ball hard and just finding a glove. So again, it's just a very, very frustrating week overall, especially in St. Louis, because that was just the whole thing. You were lining out, and credit to the Cardinals for playing good defense, for good positioning. Like, I'm not trying to discredit the Cardinals at all. The only thing I would discredit is their fucking Babbitt luck with just dinks and doinks everywhere. But again, that's baseball. It is what it is. This team, its biggest issue is just runners in scoring position. And this surprised me when I booted up Fangraphs for this. Would you believe me if I said the Mets were 5th in OPS? Maybe it's just like Alonso kind of bumping it up a little, but that just does not seem
the Yankees are like first across the board in a lot of offensive stats, at least in the American League. I'm not sure in Major League Baseball. It does not feel that way.
Right.
And even when you take out Aaron Judge, I'm pretty sure they have like the highest WAR amongst position players.
Yeah, I think I saw that too, but like, this offense isn't bad. I'm not calling them bad. They're 6th in weighted runs created plus, but they're inconsistent, and when it comes to runners in scoring position, they are just not good.
Yeah. I know in baseball, or in the American League, the average OPS is below 700.
Is it really?
Yeah. That was as of like 3-4 days ago, so I don't know if that's changed or not, but
hovering around 700.
I think if you do baseball as a whole, it's a little higher. So that could be part of it. Offense is just down because pitchers are throwing a fucking sweeper with 1 million miles of vertical movement.
Yeah, exactly. You got a sweeper that breaks 2 feet across the plane. Like, all right, I'll go fuck myself.
Then a fastball in the inside corner that's 101 dotted. Like, what are you supposed to do?
So it's like, but I tweeted this out because I'm way too active on Twitter. The Mets ranks with runners in scoring position. They are 6th in expected weighted on base average, 3rd in strikeout percentage, 8th in walk percentage, 7th in average exit velocity, 2nd in hard hit percentage. They have the 4th largest difference of batting average versus expected batting average. So I'm not blaming the runners in scoring position issues on, bad luck, call it. I do think there is an approach failure somewhere in there. feel like a lot of guys are kind of patient. They get in bad counts and then have to swing at bad pitches. But on the flip side, when they do hit the ball, it's hard contact and it just finds a glove. So it's a very frustrating watch, but I'm not worried long term. I think this stuff will even itself out. But I think you got to see some more consistencies from a lot of the players. And, a lot of the guys that we've talked about week in and week out. Like, we are 1 month in. Brandon Nimmo and Mark Vientos are both below average offensive players by weighted runs created plus. That's just what it is. It's 1 month in, and they're still kind of, they're struggling. They're still struggling. And if we extrapolate this, the Mets, after 1 month of play, the Mets have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 above average offensive players, which is obviously Pete Alonso, Francisco Lindor, Juan Soto, Luis Angel Acuna, and Jesse Winker, who you just lost to injury. Tyrone Taylor, I will say, has been on some sort of run. I fucking love it. I love me some Tyrone Taylor. Mark Vientos has been better as of late, but he's a guy with runners to scoring position that just looks lost. He has no idea what's coming. He has no idea what to do. And this is a guy we kind of went into the season thinking he's going to bat cleanup, he's going to bat fifth, he's going to be in the middle of the order. He has no idea what's going on with runners to score position. He looks lost. And then Luis Torrens has kind of come down to earth a little bit, but he still has good, I think that was expected, but he still has some good bat to ball
if you thought
quality
Luis
there.
Torrens was going to be what he was at the beginning of the year, I got a bridge to sell you.
Yeah.
That's not me knocking Luis Torrens. It's just that he's a catcher. Catchers wear down. He was never seen as this type of hitter. If he was, you wouldn't have got him for $25,000.
Right. And then the other two, just to round it out, Starling Marte is way below average, and then Brett Baty, he's Brett Baty. So, look, last night in Arizona, Pete Alonso hit a 2-run home run, Francisco Lindor hit a 3-run home run, and then that was that. So, you can live like that, but you need more from Brandon Nimmo, from Mark Vientos. Francisco Alvarez and Jeff McNeil are back. McNeil currently is below average, weighted runs created plus. Francisco Alvarez is above average, so I'll give him that. But at the end of the day, you just need more from this offense. And especially because pitching is coming down to earth just a little bit. I mean, it's regressing from, best in the league, which, again, if you thought this pitching staff was going to be the best in the league, I got some news for you. I like this pitching staff. I still think it's a really good pitching staff. But it is just not possible for them to be the best pitching staff in the league. No matter how you cut it. No matter how good this pitching coach is. No matter how much you want to talk about the pitching lab and whatever. The names in this rotation, at the end of the day, will not be the best pitchers in baseball. They will be very good pitchers. They will not be the best. So with that being said, the pitching has come down just a bit. They're now second in ERA in the league to the San Diego Padres. But I believe they're first and fifth. They are first and fifth, so take that for what you will. And they are second in expected FIP. So, again, still very good. Very, very good. But, again, we just need to see more out of the offense. Because the pitching, for the most part, has carried this team for the first month when we thought it should have and would have been the other way around. But here we are, May 6th, and the pitching staff, again, is still one of the best in baseball. So, before I look ahead, any thoughts on the Mets? Just maybe kind of overall first month thoughts, anything like that?
We talked a lot about how, or at least I thought it, I'm not sure if I said it, to me the Mets pitching almost felt like a dam. Where you started seeing cracks, and now with injuries, regression, stuff like that, and I feel like just a tougher stretch of games, you're starting to see a lot more cracks. you better get some Flex Seal or something and do not let that shit break. Yeah. And the offense overall, because I feel like you got Pete, and then you got a bunch of guys that'll have a good game every here and there.
Yeah.
So you just need more I feel like consistency is the word of the day for New York baseball.
I think that's fair.
You just need consistency.
Yeah, for sure. But
because look at Juan Soto. Soto's had I'm just gonna say it. I'm gonna be a little critical. A horrible year to his standards, but he'll have randomly 2 solo home runs that don't matter.
Right.
Try and have a little more consistency. So, because if you're more consistent, then there will be games. Yeah, sure, it doesn't matter, but there will be that many more games where it does matter.
I will say, in Soto's defense, I guess. I don't even really want to call it
He doesn't play
defense.
defense.
Yeah. This past week, I feel like he has just lined out.
Yeah.
All the time. Like 110 line out, 113
narratives.
Line out. Yeah, of course. You know, the 3-run homer gets robbed. Like, the guy can't buy a hit right now. But I will say his savant stuff has been on the rise. He's now 96th percentile expected rated on base, 91st in expected at batting average, 93rd expected slug. He is underperforming by a decent margin at this rate. So it seems like he's kind of rounding into form a little. But yeah, no, you just need more consistency. I think you're right, especially for an instant scoring position. I don't know if it's an approach thing or what, but figure it out.
I feel like you got guys that in their career are great with that.
Brandon Nimmo was one of the best hitters with runners to scoring position last year. Even in the second half,
when he
was brutal, he was still one of the better hitters with runners to scoring position. But now he just can't buy a hit.
Because I know overall Pete Alonso didn't have that good a year with runners to scoring position last year. I'm pretty sure it was pretty bad, right?
Yeah, especially for his standards. It was
Lindor awful. In his career, awesome with them. Juan Soto in his career, awesome with them. So you have 4 guys that in their careers are awesome with runners to scoring position. Yeah. So it's like, all right, let's see it.
Right, you kind of like expect it.
Those are your top 4 hitters
to come eventually, but yeah, it's just so far not. But to your point, just some numbers for runners to scoring position. Marfientos is hitting 135. Juan Soto is hitting 138. Francisco Lindor is hitting 194. Brandon Nimmo is hitting 234.
Say what you want about batting average, but like it does matter
when it comes to runners. Yeah, because you want the hits, no matter how you get it. Yeah. You want hits, and obviously
a walk can't score a run unless bases are loaded.
Exactly. So, frustrating, very frustrating. But to your point about the harder schedule, they faced the Diamondbacks last week. Obviously, they started the series in Arizona yesterday night, won the first game, so keep it going. After that, they get to face the Cubs over the weekend. The Cubs are just on another
best team in baseball.
Right, maybe. Their pitching is now very suspect. It was suspect before, but Justin Steele got Tommy John. That fucking sucks. And Shota Imanaga just went on the IL of a hamstring strain.
That did not, dude. Watching that was like, oh, that's a hammy. Immediately, like, oh, that's a hammy.
Yeah. So their pitching is extremely suspect. But their offense is fucking insane. I don't understand it. Fucking Pete Crow Armstrong, of course, is the best center fielder in baseball. I'm gonna kill Javi Baez and Zach
like
Scott
a top 5 player in baseball
him.
Right now.
Something like that.
Like he's absurd right now.
Yeah, because of course he is. Where is it? Here we go. They got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They have 6 hitters with an above average WRC plus. All 6 of those hitters are above 120. 5 of the hitters are above 130. And 1, 2, 3, 4 are above 140.
What's John Birdie doing?
John Birdie's 96.
The Yankees could use that right about now, but let's non-tender
him. Exactly. But to my point about the pitching, Matthew Boyd has been solid. He has a 2.75 ERA. You're going to see him. You're going to see I'll just look at it now. Jameson Taillon, Chris Flexen, and Matthew Boyd. Matthew Boyd, like I said, 2.75 ERA. Jameson Tyone, 386. Who's the last guy? Chris Flexen.
Brings a tear to my eye to see JMO doing well. Or doing solid.
Chris Flexen has only pitched 3 innings this year, hasn't given up a run yet, but he has a 6 walk per 9 in just 3 innings. So take that for what you will.
Feels like a dam.
Yeah. This is a very good lineup. The offense needs to get through in this series because this can be a 3-game slugfest easily. It is at Citi Field, so offense could be a little less because Citi Field's just, that. But
when does that series start?
McGill and Griffin Canning. That starts on Friday. So
hopefully
they get a much-needed day off on Thursday.
I was more so saying because it's supposed to downpour on Friday and Saturday.
That is very true. Yeah. That'll be something to watch.
Mother's Day Sunday is looking to be clear. Like, from what I've seen, it's supposed to be a good day. So, first off, thank God, because I feel like every Mother's Day has been shitty the last couple of years. Yeah. And we have it at my house, and we try doing something outside. We have to have, 5 different tents put up,
right.
And...
Yeah, just huddle underneath.
So, happy for all the mothers.
Yeah, happy birthday to all the mothers out there.
Happy birthday, Jesus Christ.
But, yeah, then quickly... The 2 remaining games in Arizona, you got David Peterson going tonight against Zach Gallen, and then Kodai Senga tomorrow against Merrill Kelly. Just take one more game, win the series, take the day off, and get back at it. Yeah. That's all I ask. So, any closing thoughts, Justin?
Consistency. And on that note, I will take us away into El Bronx, where I am about to rip apart every single fucking person on the planet.
Now entering the Bronx.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back into the Bronx. We have a lengthy injury report brought to you by the Triboro MD, so getting it out right now. Some good. Jake Cousins, he is targeting a early to mid-June return. God knows what he's going to look like when he comes back, though. Luis Gil began a throwing program, don't really have much there. Giancarlo Stanton was transferred to the 60-day IL. That's what we like to call an accounting move. He wasn't going to come back before then. I do like that it happened at least, because now we know that the minimum he's going to be out. Because I didn't know if he was coming back in a week or if he was coming back in 3 months.
Yeah.
So now we at least have that minimum, a little more clarity. It'd be around May 26th that he'd be able to come back, something around then. They claim Brian De La Cruz off of waivers from the Braves. People are flipping out way too fucking much about a guy they claim to be in AAA. I just don't care.
He's shown flashes. Obviously, he was on the Marlins, so I saw him a lot. But he's never been able to put it consistently. So he's good, solid depth, and if he can run into a home run every once in a while.
That's my thing, though. I just don't. It doesn't affect the major league. If he was on the majors, I'd been like, okay, what are we doing? But who cares? He's probably gonna get DFA'd anyways to clear a 40-man spot. I don't really.
Yeah.
I don't care. But Jonathan Weisga, he made a couple of rehab appearances in the minors. They said that he's not gonna be back for a couple more weeks. People forget Jonathan Weisga is absolutely disgusting when he is healthy. So I know you really wanted him, right?
Yeah, I like him a lot.
So, hopefully, yeah. Marcus Stroman will throw a bullpen soon. Can we not? I will say, though, it does look like there's no way in hell he could hit that innings limit. So,
really? I mean...
Or not limit, but the option, rather.
Yeah.
Do you think...
I don't know.
That makes it easier to trade him at the deadline?
Probably.
That's what I would think, because deadline, call it 2/3 of the salary is already paid, so you'd only have to pay him about $6 million. And with how desperate teams are for starters, I wouldn't be shocked.
mean, I don't think the issue is like I don't think it's going to be the inning threshold anymore. It's literally performance. Which
and if you want
with how he's been, I don't really see a team wanting to trade for that. Like if you're giving assets away from Marcus Stroman.
Yeah, but it could just be a straight up salary dump.
Sure, but I don't know.
No, I know, but I'm just saying like that
you.
may give him a little bit more to the negative trade value that he had.
Yes.
DJ LeMahieu may get activated on the West Coast trip. I don't know how to feel about it because if this gets Pablo Reyes out of my life, okay.
Thank God.
Because I don't think DJ LeMahieu is long for the baseball world. I think he'll get DFA'd 3 weeks into it with the big injury of Jazz, which I'll get into in a second. It makes a lot of sense. Ow. Am I really talking myself into DJ fucking LeMahieu?
It's somehow an upgrade over what you have.
Yes.
Or at least you would think.
Yes.
At least defensively. I don't know how... Has Reyes been, like, okay defensive? Okay, my fault.
Even then, I don't think DJ LeMahieu has the range to play second anymore.
That's probably fair.
Especially with so many lower body injuries, too. Like, I don't... He got a cortisone injection in his hip because he felt like he may have something.
He's this old.
I will say, though, because I feel like people are, like, flipping out about that. They have so many of these damn things. Like, for me or you, like, it's a last resort. Like, if it's really bad, whatever, it's expensive, all that. For them, it doesn't matter at the end of the day. So, like, you're feeling a little something, get a cortisone shot.
Right. Just get ahead of it. That's all it is.
But it is kind of
that's literally what Boone said.
Yeah.
Like, it is. Getting ahead of it.
Oh, I think I may have a hip issue. Let me just take a cortisone shot. But
whatever.
Then the big one, Jazz Chisholm was placed on the IL with a high-grade oblique strain. They said he is out 4 to 6 weeks. Jazz is confident he'll beat that timeline. Please don't. Don't. Like, I would bet you it's closer to 8 weeks than 4. I think he's going to... Just because not because of Jazz, but just because of being an oblique, I think he's going to miss closer to 2 months.
Especially if Jorbert Vivas can be league average.
He's jorbing.
That's what I'm saying. If he could be league average, he can kind of let Jazz take his time.
So the thing, Jorbert Vivas was called up, made his major league debut. I like the at-bats from him. You see plate discipline from him. Like, that's valuable. And I think he should get a lot of runway. Just to see, like, if you really do. Because he was a top prospect in the Yankee system. You traded away Trey Sweeney, who made his major league debut the year that you traded him away. So, I really want to see what you have with Vivas. And as a little homage to Jazz, because I went to the game on Friday, I got my Jazz Chisholm basketball jersey. Little shout out.
Let show it off.
This
and I think it's sick. I love that.
I love that there's no name on the back. I love that cool. So much. I also have a Aaron Judge one upstairs somewhere, the 99. Yeah. So that, like, yay! But the 2 jerseys I have from giveaways are both basketball jerseys for a guy that does not watch basketball. Because go figure. I do want the Austin Wells football jersey so badly. I will die for that jersey. That looks so sick. And the Billy Joel bobblehead.
I love that teams are kind of just like going all in for all the, like, the hockey jersey, the football jersey, the basketball jersey. I love that.
I wanted the hockey one so badly.
The hockey jerseys look good. I got the Mets last year, but this year they're doing like a City Connect theme one. I think it looks so sick. But tickets are fucking brutal.
Yeah, for me, it was just like a thing. Not even, like, tickets were expensive, but I just did not have the time to, like, drive 2 hours down to watch the game, 2 hours back, but...
Yeah.
Anyways, getting into the actual games themselves. So, you got 3 games in Baltimore, 3 games at the stadium against Tampa, and then 1 game against the whatever that goddamn team is, Padres. So game 1 was Will Warren versus Sugano. I am not pronouncing. Yeah.
Let me look at it.
He had the lowest strikeout per 9 in baseball going into this start. He had 8 strikeouts in 5 innings. I will say he did add like 2.5 miles an hour velo. Mm-hmm. That definitely is something to do, because if you're like, your scouting report is like, yeah, this guy does not throw hard at all, and then you get that, it's like,
and now he's throwing hard.
Yeah, he does throw a little hard, but so that was a little like, what the fuck? And Will Warren had another one of those starts where he was not good. The overall numbers are not good, but he had nasty stuff. And this is infuriating me so much. And I don't know what it is. I know that the start against Tampa, which I'll get into, he was just so afraid to throw inside to lefties with the fastball. And you look at his last start in Tampa, that's what kind of killed him when he didn't even go 2 innings. Then the next start, he started going inside the lefties with his fastball, started doing a lot better. So for me, it just is an approach and sequencing thing for him, because he has good stuff. We've talked about it. His breaking ball, they all break. They got good movement. He's got to figure something out. But the last little I want to say tidbit of that game is I love Ryan Yarbrough, bro. He came in as that mop-up role, 3 2/3 innings, 2 hits, 1 walk, 3 strikeouts. It doesn't make sense, but I love that guy. They lost that game 4-3. That was just a shitty game overall. They tried making a late inning comeback, didn't work. Game 2, you got Rodon versus Kyle Gibson. Dude. Kyle Gibson making his season debut. The first inning, they had 4 home runs. They went back to back to back. There was a point where Kyle Gibson's ERA was 108.
Yeah, I took a picture of it.
And he
funny.
Do you know how many pitches it took him to let up 4 home runs?
It was like 5, right?
15.
Okay. It wasn't that bad as I thought, but
yeah.
I knew it was rough.
Yeah. And then you had Jazz. You could tell he like tweaked something in a swing in that first inning. Left him in, which personally I wouldn't have, just because when you see a tweak on a swing, take out. Like that's just me, take out. He ends up hitting a triple because, of course. And because that's just baseball Susan. Then you got a Volpe double and yada yada yada. Rodon, he ended up throwing 5 perfect innings. He let up 2 runs, but that was because he went 6 great innings. Put him out for the 7th. Gunnar Henderson ended up taking a home run. Ended up pulling him, so he went 6+. He looked awesome. That's just a trend we're seeing. Carlos Rodon is starting to look a lot better. I think it's more and more as the beard grows in. And they said that the rule is it has to be a clean-shaven beard. Or not clean-shaven beard. A well-maintained beard. It looks a little rough. But I like it. So let him be a little bit of rough. A little bit of scuff, I guess you could say. But
Waffle.
Then you got game 3. It was Carrasco versus Cade Povich. A 5-4 Orioles win. I think the biggest story of this game was the benches clearing. And so a little bit of backstory. In the 4th inning, Austin Wells tried to throw a Heston Kierstead, and it was a wide throw. Pablo Reyes tried jumping over Kierstead to get the ball so it didn't go in the outfield. He accidentally teabagged him. Kierstead did not like that. He started calling him and Reyes started going at it. Volpe got involved, whatever, the bench cleared. What's your take on that?
I think that was just like an ego thing. Kind of like, you just put your fucking nuts in my face, what the fuck?
I will say a little bit of context. Kierstead did get hit in the head last year by Clay Holmes.
Yeah, I do remember that, yeah. But, I mean, it's kind of like, it's just a happen of circumstance. I don't know. I don't see an issue with what happened. I think Kierstead just it got under his skin for whatever reason. I don't think it should have, but
that's my thing. Obviously, you're not gonna be happy about getting someone's nuts dragged on your helmet. But someone made a really funny
throw took him into it.
Someone made a really funny point that there are three layers different protecting separating your head from his nuts in the helmet, cup, and jersey.
Right.
So it's not like it's like a literal teabag.
Did he really drag his nuts across your head?
Dude, so especially because you got two layers of like hard surfaces,
tougher material.
Yeah. So
it's more like just the cup just dragging.
And the helmet, just whatever. But I think it's like, all right, dude. Like I get it. No one's gonna be happy about their getting teabags, but calm down, dude.
Sure, like, I'll be a little pressed, but like.
And it's also like Volpe, how he was like, "What are you saying, dude?"
I know he's the dumbest fucking song. To be fair, if I was like mad about something,
that would get me
had this little fucking jerk just, dude, what are you doing? I'd get pretty fucking mad. That would get under my skin.
Yeah, but I feel like Anthony Volpe is involved in the most random beefs of all time. Where you had Garcia with the
Michael
Royals.
Garcia, yeah. Not curious out of the Orioles.
But yeah, dude, like, I also love it how like the bullpens run out and they run side by side with each other. It's like, really, if there really is a fight, why are you running to the scuff? No, right. I'm fighting in the outfield though. I'm taking down what's his face? Felix Bautista, dude. I'm going for a kneecap. I'm biting kneecaps.
That's fucked up.
No, I'm kidding. Crazy. I'm kidding. I wouldn't actually do it. But I'm slide tackling him. If we're fighting, dude, we're fighting in the outfield. I ain't waiting to get all the way to the infield. I ain't doing that extra cardio, bro. Are you kidding me? Fuck that.
We need more bullpen.
You're telling me Mark Leiter wants to run out to the infield?
Honestly, you're gonna be more tired running than like fighting.
Just
fighting.
Yeah.
Quote unquote.
But whatever. That was a shitty series overall. Like that just, it felt like they couldn't hit. You had, then again,
against the worst pitching staff in baseball.
Yes. And because outside of the one game where you absolutely shredded them, you scored 3 runs and 4 runs, which like, okay. But against that pitching staff, dude, you got to score 5-6 runs.
The Orioles have the second worst ERA in baseball.
Yeah. And it feels like Will Warren and Carlos Carrasco starts are almost immediate losses unless the team scores 10 runs, which sucks because I still think Warren has stuff. He's just got to figure it out. Carlos Carrasco, on the other hand, I will get into, but
the stuff isn't the issue of Warren. Like you said, it's sequencing, and I think it's also just confidence.
Yeah.
I think he has good stuff. I don't think he knows he has good stuff.
Too many cookies, too.
Yeah, he doesn't trust. Because I think also sweepers for opposite-handed batters are like some of the worst pitches you can throw. Because if you're throwing a sweeper, I think this was the Orioles game. I think it was to Ryan O'Hearn or someone. He threw a sweeper, and it went down and in to the lefty.
The golf swing.
To no one's surprise, he golfed it out. Like you can't throw a pitch like that to the lefty. So again, to your point, I think it's sequencing, it's confidence. We know he has good stuff. The stuff models love his stuff. I just think he needs to kind of be jolted up with that kind of confidence and sequencing.
Like I said, like he did.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know what it was in the Baltimore game. I know in the Rays game, he just would not throw his fastball inside. Right. And that's what gave him against lefties. That's what gave him success in other starts. When he doesn't do it, he struggles significantly against lefties. So,
and if it wasn't for the state of this rotation, he should be sent down. But you can't.
You can't. You can't.
You literally can't. So,
but
it's unfortunate, but
shitty series. And even then, like you look at it, they gave up 4 runs, 3 runs, 5 runs. This Orioles team has not been hitting either. They're below league average. And like you really got Mullins, and that's about it that have been hitting this year.
Right.
So
yeah, definitely frustrating.
And
this definitely a series you should have at least won.
Yeah.
Because again, this pitching staff is not good.
Then going into the Rays series, Game 4 was Max Fried versus Ryan Pepiot. I think that's how you say it. Pepiot. It was 3-0 Yankees win. This was the game I was at. Max Fried was insane. I think he had a no-hitter through 5 innings, something like that. It's just a joy to watch him pitch. I am never worried when Max Fried is pitching. He's down to, I believe, a 1.01 ERA on the year. Something absurd like that. I am very mad that I put him as my backup for Cy Young, because I was just like, I don't want to do too many Yankees. I don't want to be biased. Like, But he's just been phenomenal. There's a reason my mild take was he finishes top 3 in Cy Young. Where would this team be without him, dude?
Third place. Fourth place. Last place.
This team would be so automatically cooked without him. Aaron Judge hit a triple, and when Aaron Judge hit that triple, first off, the stadium was shaking. Like, the ground was... He was rumbling and tumbling. But I thought he was so hitting for the cycle. I was so... And then he hit a double, too. I'm like, oh, yeah, he's doing it.
It's time.
You have the 2 easiest ones for Judge that he still has to do. He's doing it.
Yeah.
He ended up not doing it. The only runs came from a Paul Goldschmidt 3-run home run. That was very fun, very electric. Barely got out, but still. That's the only good game for the rest of the... Game 5 was Ryan Yarbrough versus Little, because I forgot to mention Clark Schmidt in the injury report, but he was scratched with right flank discomfort, which this...
Yeah, what the fuck is a flank? I'm sorry.
Your ass.
I never looked it up until now.
Like, I know there's flank steak, but I don't know what...
Flank, the side of a person's or animal's body between the ribs and the hip.
It's stupid,
flank
but...
soreness.
Stupid.
Yeah, it's kind of like... It's like your back. It's your lower back.
Your lower back, your abs, your oblique.
Yeah.
Kind of like that core area, but... Whatever. Clark Schmidt did not start. He is going to start tonight, though. That is like the news. Ryan Yarbrough was the spot starter. He ended up going 4 innings, 1 hit, 1 earned run, 3 walks, 2 strikeouts. The reason I mention his line is I think Ryan Yarbrough should get a lot more of a look at that 5-starter spot. Because he only went 4 innings because he wasn't really built up. But what is Carlos Carrasco giving you that you know for a fact Ryan Yarbrough is not? The only issue I have with if you did make Yarbrough the 5-starter is that you don't really have that bulk guy in the bullpen anymore. But even then, like, Carlos Carrasco is so bad. Because even then, like, he was supposed to start today on Tuesday. But because of Clark, he ended up pitching out of the bullpen in Game 6. So...
I mean, if you move Yarbrough, I mean, you can give a look to... What's his face? Alan Wyness?
Wyness.
Yeah.
Wyness, yeah. He's pitched great in the minors, right? Correct me if
yeah.
I'm wrong.
Yeah, 14 innings, 4 appearances, 3 starts, hasn't given up a run. Yeah, 3.2 walk per 9, 15.4 strikeout per 9, 57.7% ground ball rate. Like, it's worth a look, I think.
His strikeout
especially given what you have.
Because he's a guy that they claimed off waivers. I forget from where, but I want to say Twins sounds right. But they claimed him off waivers, and you see that every year where they'll claim a guy off waivers because they believe in the stuff, and then they make the adjustments, and then that guy becomes a very good pitcher. So if they want to give him a shot, I am by all means on board with that. All means on board.
We also have Brent Hedrick.
Hedrick's another guy too, where
just,
you'd have too many lefties. That'd be your 4th lefty in the bullpen. And say that Hedrick or Yarbrough is the starter, that'd be also 3 lefties in the rotation.
Gotcha. All right, I guess. Yeah.
So it'd be a little, but then again, I do really like what I see from Hedrick. I do think he will come back up at one point, and he'll have a very good. He will have a big role on this team when he does get called back up, but you just would have way too many lefties. That'd be the only issue with it. But yeah, then I forget what inning it was. I want to say in the 7th or 8th inning, Anthony Volpe dove for a ball, and I thought he tore his labrum.
Yeah.
That did not.
Because we talked about it. That was like almost the exact play Trevor Story. I think he tore his labrum.
Yeah, and you always get worried when they extend their shoulders like that for a dive. Right. And I thought he was done for the year. Like he looked like you saw like him on the ground for like 2 minutes. I'm sure you saw like the clip going right. His face was beat red. It looked like he was in so much pain, and they left him.
You never really see him stay down either.
What?
Like you never really like see him stay down either.
Dude, so, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but like you look at the last 2 years, like he played 160 games last year. I forget what he played his rookie year, but it was around like 155, 160. So he is a guy that's known as being like an Iron Man. Like he plays a lot.
Yeah, 159 his rookie year, 160 last year.
Yeah, so call 160 games back-to-back years.
Right. Yeah.
And
he's missed. What's that?
Would you have? They left him in. Would you have left him in?
Remind me, like what was the score? Like what was the?
They were up by
situation? A run. I probably, if trainers looked at him, he said he was fine. Trainer said he was fine. I left him in. If you were losing by like a few runs, or if you were up by a few runs, different story. But if it's that close of a game, I don't think you can.
My only thing is that Anthony Volpe is one of those guys that everyone say what you want about the on-field, the production, all that. All everyone talks about is he's the most competitive person on the team. He is just wildly competitive. He will do whatever he can for the team, whatever. He's a guy that you almost have to protect him from himself. That was kind of my thought. Because I said that with Jazz when he took that swing. I'm like, you got to pull him. You're up 3 runs already. It may have been 4. Yeah, it was 4 runs. You're up 4 runs. You got to protect this guy from himself. Obviously, different situations, whatever. But that's what I was thinking. I was like, oh, God. I just don't... Like, it's good that obviously that he played. Like, he stayed in. Like, obviously, like, that's a great sign. But then later in the game, he ended up making an error on a pretty routine play that ended up giving the Rays the lead. And I don't know how much of that was because of the shoulder. It was just... Because it wasn't the throwing arm. It was the glove arm. But he just looked... He didn't look comfortable making the play. It was a pretty routine play. So that's like another reason, too, where it's like...
That's fair.
You got to realize it's his glove arm. So if he can't move his shoulder with the glove, he can't field the ground ball. Like, effectively, because he literally just looked like he almost... Because he also said he felt a pop.
Right.
So, like...
That's fair.
I don't know. And again, it could just be hindsight, but in the moment, I was like, why is he staying in? Like, even if he is healthy, like, I don't like keeping him in. And I think he even texted that in the group chat.
I think so as well.
But regardless, they ended up losing that game 3-2. Then you go into Game 6 where it's 7-5 Rays. Will Warren is so frustrating, dude. Because he went 4 2/3 innings, 8 strikeouts. 3 runs.
Solid.
Oh, okay. 7 hits, 3 walks.
Not good.
10 hits in less than 5 innings. Or 10 base runners, rather, not 10 hits. Not good. But the strikeouts it's so annoying because 8 strikeouts in 4 2 innings. Pretty good.
Yeah.
But we talked obviously about the sequencing, throwing inside, like, dude, the stuff is there. It is so infuriating. But whatever. Carlos Carrasco, he ended up going 3 innings pitched in that game. And the big issue, I want to say, with this game, kind of like the big controversy, is they didn't have Jazz. Anthony Volpe sat that game because he just... They also said that he dodged a bullet with the thing. He ended up playing last night on Monday night. And so you didn't have Jazz. You didn't have Volpe. Austin Wells also got the day off. So JC Escarra was your 6-hitter. Pablo Reyes was your 7-hitter. The lineup was not bad. I forget the guy's name, but the catching coach for the Yankees, I think it's Tanner Swanson. He said, like, yo, why, like, he's been fighting for Ben Rice to get time behind the plate. Right. Ben Rice wasn't playing this game. Why wasn't he the catcher that game? Mm-hmm. if you notice that your offense, like, you don't really have that much offense, why not just swap a Scar for Ben Rice? Because you really need the hitter. And you also have to realize, like, people are acting like putting Ben Rice behind the plate is this, like, oh, I don't know. No, he came up as a catcher. He literally got drafted as a catcher. He did not start playing first base until last year in the minors. He is a catcher through and through. So it's not like this thing of we're just putting a guy behind the plate that doesn't know how to catch.
Doesn't know. Right.
No, like, this guy is a catcher. And, I don't know, to me, I feel like if he's begging you to get him behind the plate, and I feel like that's just the perfect game to do it. I don't know about you, but...
I agree. I think if they're serious about, kind of having this flexibility with him, you can't just not use him for, a month or two, and then all of a sudden be like, all right, you're catching.
He has one inning all year.
Right, you have to, not slowly, but you got to gradually just bring him back into that mindset, because when it comes to catching, like, it's not just, all right, go play catcher. It's like, it's the pitcher meetings. It's, meeting with the pitching coach and the pitchers and the game plan and planning this and planning that, and what else? Like what's it called? Holy crap. The signs, like, for different plays. Like, there's a lot more that goes into catching that you need to get back into that rhythm. So, yeah, it's a little frustrating that they haven't really decided kind of what they want to do with him.
And it's a thing of, too, that he's going to have to play catcher when everyone comes back. And, damn, I just forgot what I was going to say. Damn, that's going to annoy me. But, oh my god, it's on the tip of my tongue. Catcher meeting. Oh, yeah, so he has been, every day, they say he's catching off the Tragic pitching machine. So, he's getting more comfortable with guys' pitches. Because, obviously, like, you cannot replicate game action in a pitching machine. But that still is, because for those that don't know, we've talked a little bit about it. It's a machine that you could say, like, Garrett Cole fastball. It'll throw a fastball at Garrett Cole with the same exact spin rate. So, he's been working every day as a catcher. I don't like the idea of just, like, that seems like a perfect game to put him in at catcher. And then later in the game, in the 8th inning, you were down by 4, no outs, bases loaded, J.C. Escarra comes up. They leave him in, which made absolutely no sense to me, because you could have either pinch hit Ben Rice or Austin Wells. I would have gone Ben Rice, 100%. But they also could have gone Wells. It would have made sense, like, whatever, yada, yada, yada. And they end up leaving Escarra. Escarra hits into a double play. And another thing, too, what was it? The next batter was Pablo Reyes, and he ended up pinch hitting Pablo Reyes for Ben Rice. Which, in a vacuum.
Sure.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
And then Boone
after what just happened.
Boone after the game made no sense, where so they pinch hit for Pablo Reyes. Pablo Reyes was playing third base. So I know Escarra has a little bit of versatility, whatever. But instead of putting Ben Rice at catcher, they put Austin Wells into the game. And then put Escarra at third base. So you just took out Ben Rice. I forget who the other guy on the bench was, but they used him too. Oh yeah, they pinch hit Jorbe Vivas earlier in the game. And no, that's what it was. Pablo Reyes got pinch hit for Jorbe Vivas, and then Ben Rice came in for Vivas after that. And Vivas had his first career hit in the at-bat before. Ridiculous.
Yeah.
And then Boone, after the game, because you only had Anthony Volpe left on the bench, and he wasn't available.
Right, so you don't have a bench.
You just completely gutted your bench when all you had to do was put in Ben Rice for Escarra. Or Austin Wells for Escarra if you don't want to put Rice behind the plate. That's all you had to do. Ridiculous. After the game, did you see the quotes that Boone had?
I saw the upload, but I never saw the quote.
The reason why he let Escarra hit is because he's the guy that's been here been here and more experience.
We're talking about
a 30-year-old rookie. I love JC Escarra. I love the story. Awesome guy. I think he has a spot on this team. What do you... Like, that's just talking out of your ass.
That's just a straight-up lie. I mean... What do you mean he has more experience?
That's just talking out of your ass, dude.
Professional baseball? Sure.
When he was playing in the independent leagues last year? Sure.
Right, like, sure, but... This is nothing against Escarra. He... Just a straight-up lie.
Yeah.
He doesn't. Ben Rice has more experience.
It's just... It's ridiculous to me that, okay, you want to make that move, but to double down on it? That's... And I forget who, but I think someone came up and they ended up hitting a 2-run double. And... Yeah, because he got walked. And I believe it was Peraza. I forget if it was Peraza or Cabrera, but one of them ended up hitting a 2-run double. Got 2 runs in there, made it a 7-5 game. And kind of how you were talking with, I forget the guy's name, but how it was a 2-run game going into the 8th inning, or going into the 9th inning. You left Carlos Carrasco in. Granted, he got the outs, didn't give up a run. But really? It's a 2-run game? And do you know who was up after him? Or in the...
Who was up after?
1, 2, 3.
Right.
In that 2-run game. You had the chance for Aaron Judge to come up to tie the game. If you did not allow a run. Granted, he didn't allow a run, but that just feels like you're trying to squeeze it too much.
Right. You're playing with fire.
And that being said, you didn't get 5 innings from either starter the last 2 days. So, makes sense why.
Right.
But
you can see the reasoning, but it's just kind of like a... why?
Ridiculous. Stupid, but... That was that. Then getting into Game 7, the first game of the Padres series. It was Carlos Rodon versus Nick Pivetta. Rodon was awesome again. It just... awesome. I don't know what else you could use to say about him. I think he gave up 1 run, but... Then... Devin Williams, I don't know what the hell's going on with you, dude.
I'm officially worried.
I'm
like before. I was kind of like, all right, it's a month in, like whatever.
Maybe he's not the closer right now, but it's
right,
the 8th inning. You have a oh no, he didn't give up a run because it was a 3-0 lead that the Yankees had. Immediately loads the bases. Do you know how that started?
How'd that start?
An uncompetitive at bat to Tyler Wade.
I did see that.
Yeah. Dude, it's the journeyman, somehow a journeyman. I don't know how he's still in the fucking league. Tyler Wade. What are we doing? The only reason he's on a team is because a bunch of girls simp over him. That is the only reason why. But I just, that's the thing that annoys me is the uncompetitive at-bats against like the 8-9 hitters. No. You are one of the best pitchers in baseball. Your stuff will make Devin Williams reconsider being make Tyler Wade reconsider being a baseball player. Why are you like pitching around? Ridiculous to me. But then Luke Weaver comes in with the base loaded, no outs. He ends up giving up a double to make it 3-2. Ends up giving a single to make it 4-3. First run that Luke Weaver's given up. I don't know if I said this in the group chat, but to me it was like Luke Weaver, like, yeah, he's going to give up runs. Like, he was on an insane run of like 14 games with no runs. It was bound to happen. That he was just going to give up a run. But, bro, Williams, like, what are we doing? Like, for me, that's because he just came off 3 scoreless appearances where he looked really good. Right. He changed up his fastball and changeup usage, where he was 55 changeup, 45 fastball. He flipped it to be 55 fastball, 45 changeup, and the reasoning was like, your changeup's so good, but if you're behind in the count, it's not going to be as disgusting.
Right.
So kind of use it more as a put away pitch, whatever. Makes a lot of sense. But just uncompetitive at bat after uncompetitive at bat. Which the Yankees have 5 losses in which they had a lead in the 8th inning or later this year. That is the most in baseball.
point to Williams for all of them, or like 4 out of the 5 probably.
The
two come
game
mind
against the
last
Rays was
night,
lighter.
The Rays. Oh, that was lighter?
Yeah. The one this week.
Oh, this week, yeah. The one in Tampa
was
Williams blew that. Yeah. So.
But I think at least 3 of them are Devin Williams.
Right. Yeah. And
so
like the under the hood stuff is like not spectacular. You know, the expected ERA still in the 12th percentile.
It's not encouraging.
The fastball velo's down. He's not getting chases. The whiff is above average. He's not striking guys out, walking too many guys, giving too many barrels. Like, I really don't have any answers. Like, I'm not sure.
He needs some PTO.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
Some pay time off, dude. Like, he just needs. I don't know what the answer is with him. Because if you're not the closer or whatever, okay, give me an awesome setup, man.
Right.
This was an implosion of insane.
Yeah.
I will say.
The one benefit of the doubt. Go ahead, because we might say the same thing.
I was going to say, this game just should not have been played.
Yeah, okay.
But
I was going to say, the benefit of the doubt is, like, it was crappy, it was raining, like, whatever.
But even then, it wasn't even that bad when he was pitching. Yeah, it was raining, whatever, but it wasn't as bad when he was pitching.
Yeah,
It could just be a thing of he doesn't know how to pitch in weather because he's used to the dome. But at the same time, how many excuses are we going to make for him? Oh, he had a kid. Right. Oh, the weather. Oh, this. Oh, former team. When you're making this many excuses, at one point, it just is what it is. Maybe he's just
bad.
Yeah.
He's just bad right now.
And he still can be good.
Absolutely. But this is not writing him off, but it's just you need for him to get right, but he can't because every time you bring him in, he's blowing a lead.
Yeah, just
like you literally have to bring him in garbage time.
Yeah.
I don't know what else to do.
I think that's the answer. Unfortunately, but whatever. I'm done. Those were with that stuff because there's other stuff I want to talk about, and I'm just nothing else to talk about because I do want to highlight 2 quick things in the minors. What's his face got called up, or oh my God, George Lombard got called up to AA. He's been raking. The fact
19 years old.
That's what I was gonna say. The fact that I have to argue with people about why you should not be calling up a 19-year-old to the major leagues that has never played above high A ball is kind of concerning. I love George Lombard. More than deserved the promotion to AA. If you really thought that he should have been called up to the majors, like I will say the Passan tweet was a little weird.
I'm kind of shocked, yeah. I think
that is a little wonky that Passan tweeted about it. But yeah, he's been incredible. Then another guy that I have no idea what to make out of how he's been doing is Spencer Jones. He has 9 home runs on the year, leads the minor leagues, has a 165 WRC+. He's hitting .228, but it's also like by far the lowest BABIP of his career because you look at, let's see this, 2024, he had a 401. 2023, he had a 359. 2022, he had a 406. This year, a 286. So take that for what you will. The strikeout rate is near identical to last year. Last year was 36.8. We talked a lot about that. This year it's 36.3. That's not good. But his walk rate has significantly increased. Last year was 9.9. This year is 17.7. So you could live with the strikeouts if his walk rate doubles.
Okay.
That's the...
It's the thing is if you're striking out 36% of the time in AA, you're going to be striking out like 40% of the time in the majors.
You got to get it
50.
Down. You got to get it down, yeah. But the walks is a good sign.
Absolutely.
Because it's at least shown maybe like, but it could just be a thing of he's just on such a tear, guys aren't pitching to him. But it also could just be a thing of his plate discipline's getting better. So, because I'm also not going to pretend like I watched AA games. I have not seen a single AA game.
This is
maybe in my career.
Scouting.
What?
Yeah. I said this is box score scouting.
Yeah. And his stance, he's the weirdest stance of all time.
Super wide.
But it's working, so I can't say anything. But,
right.
Yeah, I just wanted to highlight him really quickly. And he's been awesome. Just so far I mentioned the WRC Plus. And, yeah, just, I don't... Something to note, see, they're very crowded in the outfield right now. But I just did want to touch on him a little bit. Paul Goldschmidt's been awesome. I don't have numbers, but Unk still got it. I wouldn't be surprised if he becomes a platoon bat, closer to a platoon bat, though, when Stanton comes back. Because I don't have the numbers in front of me, but his splits, righty-lefty, are jarring. They're very, very jarring. His OPS is almost 1,000 points higher.
Crap.
Yeah.
He, in 35 plate appearances against lefties, he's hitting .600, a .657 on base, a over 1,000 slug for a 1,700 OPS.
What's the OPS against righties?
629.
That's what I'm saying.
But he is hitting. I mean, he's hitting against righties like 282. Like
it's just
he's
slugging. The slugging's not there.
Yeah, he's not slugging.
Righties.
Yeah,
that's the issue. But
he is striking out a lot more.
But that's what I mean. Where it's like.
Wow, I didn't realize how.
What'd you think it was when I said jarring? Like a 500 difference?
Yeah, maybe like a 650 and like an 890 type of thing.
No, it's
no.
He is absolutely ripping the cover off the baseball against lefties. Cannot hit righties right now.
Yeah.
But so I wouldn't be surprised if he becomes more of a platoon bat, which may be the solution we're looking for.
Yeah.
But Unk still does got it. He's looked up and down in the field. He will make some really nice plays, though. So, wanted to shout him out really quickly. Give a quick shout out to Aaron Judge as well. He had a last night he snapped it, but he had a 14-game hit streak. Now he has a 31-game on base streak. He's hitting .414 because Jesus fucking Christ. And he had 2 bad games the last 2 weeks where he had like 1 hit and then no hits yesterday. So he was hitting .432 for the 2 games. But the last major thing I want to talk about is people are talking about Jason Dominguez and saying he should just give up being a lefty. Do you know being a righty? Do you know how many at-bats he has as a righty in his entire career, including the minors?
200.
435.
Yeah.
In 5 years of professional baseball. That is not nearly enough time for me to say if he should give it up or not.
The difference is jarring. I know we talked about that off camera. The difference is pretty stark, but
to me, I
agree.
His plate discipline, his approach is so good from the left side that I think he could be a very good switch hitter. I also think that this is one of those things that you should not change in the season.
Yeah, that has to be an off-season.
That is an off-season move. You let him play out. But even then, they're sitting him against righties. Or they're sitting him against righties. They're playing him against lefties. So to me,
Bellinger is still playing over him. I understand.
And Bellinger has reverse splits. Bellinger plays a lot better against lefties. I forget what the numbers are, but Bellinger is a lot better against lefties this year than righties. So
865 OPS against lefties and 25.
What was it?
29 plate appearances. 865 against lefties.
That will play. That is very good.
570 against righties.
That's what I'm saying. He has reverse splits this year. And I get it. You want to get him going, yada, yada, yada. He is hitting lefties at a very good rate. Jason Dominguez is not. Jason Dominguez is hitting righties at a very, very high rate. Cody Bellinger is not. So, to me, it's just one of those things of, I feel like it's pretty self-explanatory, and you're only playing a guy 3-4 games a week, that's going to stun his development. It should have been a thing like Anthony Volpe, where here, look, you're playing, you get the runway. Granted, Anthony Volpe did not have near the level of competition that Jason Dominguez does have for playing time, but I don't know about you, but it's ridiculous to me.
In the best way possible, Trent Grisham threw a wrench into everything.
Oh my God, Trent Grisham is just God.
Yeah,
I will never stop taking my victory lap on Trent Grisham, by the way.
I do think Dominguez should be getting more playing time than Cody Bellinger. I mean, at the very least, Dominguez you kind of have a future for. Bellinger just hasn't really showed anything, and the under-the-hood stuff is all average.
Mm-hmm.
At least with Dominguez, there's more potential and there's future outlook there. I am this close to kind of being just send him down because I think he needs to be playing every day.
But what more can he, other than hitting against lefties, what more can he learn?
It's not much about learning, but just
playing.
Just play. Like how you think he's going to get into a rhythm in the major leagues if he's playing 3 games in a week?
The optics are just so bad on that, though, that you can't. But the optics of not playing him are not good either.
Right. So it's like, do you believe in him or do you not?
I don't know.
I'm getting no.
And it doesn't make sense.
You're still letting Cody Bellinger play over him.
But that's the thing. I still think Bellinger has value on this team. He's been
defensively for sure.
I was gonna say awesome defensively and hitting against lefties. That is valuable. But if you're not gonna use him to his strengths and then he's struggling, both guys, if you're not using them to their strengths, shocker. But
I think at the end of the day, it's got to be a platoon of sorts.
Yeah. And that's even then, if you want to give Dominguez a lot more playing time, but then take him out after the 7th inning, sure.
Yeah. But I don't know. I don't like what they're doing. I don't think Bellinger is a guy you play over a player you think is going to be here for the future.
Yeah.
And I don't know. From the outside looking in, I think it's pretty frustrating.
And it's not like Dominguez has sucked either. He has been a very good hitter against righties. If he wasn't, okay, sure. It's just, whatever.
I think at the end of the day, the easiest solution is just platoon. But are they going to do that?
No. But, and even then, Ben Rice will suffer from Cody Bellinger having to play.
Right.
I think Bellinger needs a couple days off, something like that. He's dealt with injuries this year so far. He's dealt with shitting his pants. He just needs a couple days off to figure his stuff out. But anyways, I'm rambling for way too long. Quick look ahead. So you got the rest of the Padres series. You got Michael King versus Clark Schmidt. Very interesting game because it was kind of one of those things of King and Schmidt were kind of getting the guys that's like, oh, are we going to go with King or are we going to go with Schmidt?
Is this King's first game back?
Yeah.
Was he? Okay.
And they are also like very, very close.
Right.
King and Schmidt.
That'll be fun.
And yeah, and even like they were asking like King like questions like pre-game yesterday, and he was like he's like talking shit, but in a friendly way. You know what I mean?
Yeah. For sure.
I will say I don't like what Boone said. It's a throwaway comment, but like they asked him like, oh, who's more confident between King and Schmidt? And he said King. I will say it's like you're a player's manager. That a guy will. He said Marcus Stroman had good stuff after not finishing an inning. But it's a minor thing, and like I usually don't care what Boone has to say, but it's like, really? Why are you admitting that?
No,
but
I get it. I get what you mean.
Whatever. Game 3 is Dylan Cease versus Max Fried. Dylan Cease has not been good this year. Max Fried has been good this year. That is why the Yankees are going to lose this game 1-0 in the 11th inning.
I will say, Dylan Cease is bound for a get-right game. He looks good under the hood, so
they have had a lot of pitchers have get-right games against them.
Yeah, so don't let it happen.
Yeah. Then you got a travel day. Then you start your West Coast trip. You got 3 games in Oakland, and then you got 3 games in Seattle. So we get to stay up late. Fun.
Yay.
Shoot me. But, yeah. That's all I got. Devin Williams, I think he's the biggest issue on this team so far. And even then, like, is he? Or is it the 4 and 5 starters?
Pitching is...
Not even that. 3 guys.
I guess, yeah.
3 guys are the issue.
3 pitchers are the problem.
And I may even lump Leiter in there. Because I feel like all the high leverage innings he gets, either he's like, okay, or he blows them. And it's like a 50-50. If it's like an 80-20, sure. The nature of relievers. But it is way too even of a split at this point. That's all I got. If you want to Anything else, or
I
take
really
us
don't.
away?
I don't got anything else. I mean, the pitching just has to be better. Devin Williams has to be better.
3 guys.
Fig-
3.
Figure out what you want to do with Jason Dominguez. If not, send him down.
Ryan
That's where
Yarbrough,
I'm
you
at.
were my 5 starter. You may be my 4 starter, dude. Like,
With that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're on YouTube, remember to hit the subscribe button so you never miss an episode. Leave us a comment. What do you think about the Yankees? What do you think about the Mets? We'd love some interaction here. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, remember to follow us there as well so you never miss an episode. All of our social medias at Triboro Podcast, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Facebook. Always active on there, posting lineups, final scores, game recaps, things like that. So follow us there. And yeah, thank you guys so much for listening and watching, and